So Ashfield, this former mining constituency, like so many constituencies with a mining heritage, it turned for the first time at a general election, that last general election, from always having a Labour MP to voting Conservative. It's seats like this that are responsible for Boris Johnson's whopping majority. So I wanted to come back 2.5 years later to listen to people here. Have they changed their mind? What do they think about politics? Hello everyone, it's good to be here in the Dog and Parrot in Eastwood. Some of you might know I used to live down the road. It's really good to be back because I learnt a lot from people that lived in this area. Cost of living crisis, we're all hearing about it. I was just wondering, has it affected any of your families? You and your family? The rise in prices?
I have both my parents are pensioners and they live on their own, they've got their own house. But at the moment we have to look after them because they're struggling with the bills, groceries, their movement, the travel. So it's very hard for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think everybody makes a conscious effort to cut back rather than living the lives that they were doing 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think everybody's cutting back and being conscious about what they're buying, where they're going, and ultimately who they're spending time with as well.
Yeah. Well, we've noticed a difference with the pub. The cost of the beer's gone up and up and up and up. So, as a trade, we've put our prices up once. I can't do it again. I just can't do it to customers. They're struggling themselves. So I prefer not to increase it.
And struggle yourself.
And struggle ourselves, yeah.
There are more and more parents are having to ask for food parcels and things like that from that the Start Right group because they just can't cope. And
it's like a food bank, this
It's
Start
like
Right
a
group.
food bank, specifically more aimed towards families with children.
Right.
And there's been a phenomenal increase in the amount of families that are needing that support and are needing that help.
Do you think the government's doing enough, or do you have any ideas about what they could do to help you? Or is it just something that they can't control anywhere?
I think it could be helped with fuel. Every day you see about fuel going up and up and up and up. £1.80 for diesel, £1.60, 62.
Yeah.
I'm thinking £1.60 is a cheap now. It's like for petrol. I mean, we've got a petrol car and a diesel van. Diesel ones for work. But that's £1.80. To fill a tank up now, it's nearly £80 or £90, where it used to be 60. You know, so it's a big jump on what you're having to put in your tanks, definitely.
It's same with food. It's like I always go to Iceland, and I've noticed, I've said to my husband over the last few weeks, it's not like 1p or 2p. You're talking 20p, you're talking 25p, you're talking 50p. And that is a hell of a lot of money, especially me personally, I work, and my husband, but them that don't,
it's difficult.
for whatever reason, it is difficult for them.
Especially when your weekly shop goes from 40
Exactly.
to 60, 70, 80 in some cases.
Exactly.
It's the same for businesses. I mean, across the road, the restaurant, when we opened up, the items were a lot cheaper. Now when we go to get the flour, the oil, the drinks, they're almost double price.
Yeah.
But we cannot increase our prices double because nobody's going to come in.
Yeah.
So we're
the same, don't we? Yeah.
From my opinion, I'm not being funny or anything, but where you've got a politician that's getting a decent wage and everything else, I don't think they live in the world of reality. I really don't. I mean, I would love to go to some of these politicians and say, what's the price of a loaf of bread? What's the price of a 4 pint of milk? And actually ask them, because I don't think most of them actually understand the price of things these days. I think they sit there, they're getting paid this amount for expenses, this amount for a wage, and they're saying, well, I'm doing this, but nobody's actually seeing that in reality.
They talk the talk, but you've got to walk the walk now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you trust, is there any politician that you trust?
Not now.
Not at the moment.
No.
I want you to take yourself back to that last general election, because the place where we're sitting is one of so many constituencies which went from always Labour MP at a general election to a Conservative MP at that general election. I mean, it's people like you that are going to determine the result of the next general election, by the way, because you determined it last time because there was a big switch in here, like there was in so many other parts of the country.
I swapped.
You swapped.
I went Conservative from Labour, and I voted Labour all my life from the age of being able to vote. And I went to Conservative because I didn't trust Corbyn, basically.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, I don't trust any of them.
I didn't like Corbyn in any way, shape or form. So I changed, went for Boris. I thought he'd be a down-to-earth bloke. You know, he came across as a beer drinker,
Yeah.
a nice bloke. Not saying that he's done a bad job through the crisis.
I don't think
but
he did that through the COVID.
No, but I think he's made a rod for his own back with everything and basically just been the big pushover. So it was probably one of the biggest mistakes the country's made for a long, long time.
Do you trust Boris Johnson, first of all? Do you trust Boris Johnson?
Not now.
Not now.
No.
Did?
I did.
Yeah, did.
Until what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
And then all that came out because the amount of families that have lost people, and we was had to abide by it. People were getting fined for it.
Heavily.
And exactly. And then all of a sudden it comes out, they decide they want to party. Let's
The leader
do
of the
it all.
country.
Yeah, the leader of the country.
I think today.
Supposed to be setting an example for us.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're not telling me he didn't know what was going on.
It's like me not knowing what my staff are doing.
Yeah.
Really, it's like you.
He was at the parties, he broke the law,
Yeah.
and how that man is still in power after everything he's done and hasn't lost the confidence of his party and the people absolutely bewilders me.
If he's got any kind of morals, more out of respect for those people that lost their lives, those that lost their businesses, that lost their living, if he's got anything like that, he should resign.
I'm going to ask you a different question now. I think we've had some very strong views about Boris Johnson. Keir Starmer.
I shut off from politics.
Where
recently.
did Keir Starmer come from? Because all of a sudden Corbyn left, Keir Starmer arrived.
along.
I had never even heard of Keir
No, I knew
Starmer.
you too as well.
Never even heard. So how on earth he got to become Labour, I do not know.
It was never publicised, was it?
No. So it's as though he was like, yeah, you can have that job. It's about time we had a politician or a Prime Minister that thought about British people for a change. Instead of what's happening abroad and what have you. Think of us for a change. I've always said to my husband, whoever is the Prime Minister has to look at as though our country is his household, right? And we're his children. Now, if you got children, you won't be giving your money away to another country. You'd look after your own children first. Make sure you've got a roof over your head. Pay your bills. They don't.
Can't do it now, can they? They can't
They
pay their
don't
bills.
do it.
When I say the word Conservative Party, what words come into your head?
Liars.
Rich.
Yeah.
Village.
Rich.
Liars.
The rich.
Very
and liars.
unreliable.
Yeah.
Very unreliable.
Yeah.
The Labour Party.
Working.
Yeah, working.
They're for the
It's
workers.
supposed to be for the people.
Well, they used to be for the workers.
Yeah.
It used to be, Labour used to be for the working class.
Yeah.
And then it changed. Because we got let down that often.
Is there anybody that you think, maybe that person or anyone, past or present, that you think, well, I trusted that one?
Somebody who's walked in the shoes of an average person
Yeah.
that earns 20 grand a year
Yeah.
and has to live
Live
with
that
kids
life.
and
our
live that
life.
life.
I think
Our
they ought to change
lives.
the rules on politicians. I believe that they ought to change the rules on how you become a politician. It's all very well going to university, studying this, studying that, going into a law degree or whatever you are, but unless you've lived a life of a normal human being in this country, done a job, been on the dole, or whatever it be, you're never going to understand.
I would love somebody like Zelensky.
Really? So you've
Because
thought of a politician that you trust, Zelensky?
Well, he's still there fighting with his
He's
people,
still
isn't he?
fighting for his people and what he's doing. That man must be on his knees for what's going off over there. And
He's
I can't
brilliant.
see any of our MPs ever
They
doing
will
what
never
that
do that.
man is doing.
Never.
They're tied to their manners in
He
another
is-
country.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
But he's a brilliant example of someone
He
who
is.
has lived a life
Yeah.
and then gone into politics
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
being
Being a
a
comedian.
politician.
Not the opposite way round.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Michael.
And all that.
Yeah.
Had the experience of
Superb.
life, yeah, to put into it.
Life experience, I think, is the biggest word.
Yeah, absolutely. Walk in your shoes is what someone said. I think it's a brilliant way of putting it. So thank you so much for giving me your words of wisdom, the difficult decisions that you will make come the next polling day, but you're very strong and well thought out views about what we need from our politics and politicians. Thank you. Thank you. So lots of anger with the government, but no guarantees of voters switching back to Labour. So I moved to my dog walking chats. I always found political chats whilst dog walking were a great sounding board.
I was always a stout Labour supporter.
You were always Labour.
Always Labour. Throughout my whole working life.
What, until last time?
Until last time.
When you voted for Boris Johnson and the Conservatives. Why?
Yes.
Why did you change your vote last time?
No faith in Labour because of the leader at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted Brexit, so I went for Johnson. I didn't know who else to vote for besides that. And I feel that Brexit probably wasn't the best route to take. And I've lost all faith in Conservatives, as most people have. Of course, you don't know what to believe in what they say.
So, John, you're going to vote tomorrow. Just pretend there's a general election tomorrow. You voted Labour all your life. Like so many people in communities
Yes.
like this, you switched up that last election.
Yes.
What do you know what you're going to do?
I'm going to vote Labour.
You are?
I
You're
don't
going back?
think Starmer's as strong as I thought it would be. I think it could come over stronger.
Yeah.
But I'm going to vote Labour. I
You-
believe in them more so than Conservatives this time.
So one-off. That vote you think was a one-off vote?
Yes, probably a mistake in hindsight. But at the time, Labour was just
Yeah.
off the rails.
Yeah.
I thought, I've got to go Conservative. I wanted Brexit.
Yeah.
Conservative wanted Brexit, so I went for Brexit.
What did I learn? Well, they've lost faith in Boris Johnson. They really have had some quite harsh words to say about him. But as for Labour, they haven't yet sealed the deal to get those voters back.